У меня бабушка, дедушка, католики.
My grandparents, grandmother and grandpa, were Catholic. My grandmother taught me to pray when I was 4 years old, and it was a very difficult time. It was a time of persecution for your faith. Throughout those difficulties, they kept their faith, and they transmitted that faith to their own children, who are my parents, and my parents gave that faith to us. And I can try to give that to my own children, because faith really is life.
Other people called who said, well, grandmother was a Catholic, so I want to be a Catholic.
Здравствуйте.
Yevgenia made her first communion here in the church before the revolution, and she remembers and describes what the ceremony was like.
И мы впереди шли.
I remember there was a procession around the church. We were the first in line carrying baskets of flowers and icons. When you went in the main door of the church, on the left side on one of the columns was kind of a little balcony up high where the priest would go to preach the sermon. There are a handful of these elderly parishioners that remember the church before it was closed and who are a part of it again. There are always our pride and joy, as we see it. Sometimes pure Russians called who had no background in the Catholic Church who said they simply wanted to be Catholics.
Я счастлива, что я узнала истину в жизни.
Yes, I'm happy because I found the truth in life. Truth is that God is not only my Father, but He is the Father of all humanity.
И через Иисуса Христа Он нас спасает всех.
And through Jesus Christ, God saves us all.
The first meeting was on the 25th of August in 1990.
And they wrote a letter to Bishop Worth. Bishop Joseph Worth was appointed bishop of all of Asian Russia, and so they wrote him a letter and said, we're the Catholic community of Vladivostok, and we need a priest.
And when I went to Novosibirsk to talk to the priest about coming to Russia, he said, where do you want to go? And I said, well, I was thinking of Vladivostok. And he said, oh, I just got a letter today from Vladivostok saying there's a parish there, send us a priest.
Father Myron read that, and he said, soon there'll be a need for priests in the Soviet Far East. He said, how does Vladivostok strike you? Well, I knew the word.
When I met with the first group of Catholics, I think there were 8 people at the meeting. That was in November of 1991. As I said, the first Mass here on the steps of the church was extremely cold. It's the first time I ever said Mass with hat and gloves on.
This church is the largest pre-revolutionary Catholic church to survive the repression. It was a brand new building at the time, so why destroy a new building? The parliament of the city that closed the church, that's what they said, well, since there are no more Catholics left, we nationalize this building. They reconstructed the interior, they added 3 floors, and they turned it into the state communist archives. For 2 years, we had Mass in a rented hall. And I had a list, a checklist, every Sunday so that I wouldn't forget anything. That's statues, crucifixes, altar cloths, bread, wine, books, bells, everything. Then when we got this church back and we had the first Mass, the first Sunday, after Mass, I didn't know what to do with myself because I didn't have to pack up everything and take it home. I could leave it out for the next day. It was an amazing feeling.
It took us a whole year in order to take care of all of the documentations and the permissions. And then it took a vote of the state legislature for us to get the church back.
If they wouldn't pray for us, maybe American priests wouldn't come to us. Maybe we wouldn't start all these activity in our parish, and we would have no pro-life activity here. An average Russian woman has 5 to 10 abortions during her life. She uses it like kind of contraception. For them, abortion is not a is not a spiritual problem, it's just an operation. We have women support centers here only because Father Myron and Father Daniel came here and they saw that we have a huge problem.
In addition to counseling and information about the harm of abortion, we provide our beneficiaries with material support. You can see
several Americans came to train us. I was at the first training just because I was interested. And then I forgot about that. I didn't think that it really will be the center. And then Father Myron said, it's time to open the center. And then he said, it's time to open the second one. And now we have 6 centers. It makes me feel that God is here. Our ministry, I think, was part of their prayers.
Why are there street children? Well, number one, because alcoholism is the #1 social problem in Russia. Number two, because of abortion. Because if you've killed 7 or 8 of your children, you certainly don't feel much attachment to the one that happens to be alive. Socialism gave the impression that the big brother will be taking care of us anyway, so we don't need to take care of our children. Because the government will take care of them. Well, the government isn't taking care of them. It's too expensive. And so simple little things that the church can do for these children, it makes a wonderful difference. Our parishioner, who is a very motherly woman, they just love her on the street. It's like no mother pays attention to the kids, but they come and call her mom, you know. And she gives them a kind word. She makes them pray before they eat. And just that little attention makes them feel like they're human beings and not just some cattle on the street. That's important not just for that child to know that he's a child of God and worth something, but also for the society in general.
Sometimes when you do some work, you doubt, will you see results ever? But in this program, you see results today.
You see, maybe it's a little different than in America, because in America the church is old. It's been there a long time. And many things, many activities that the church would historically have done have been taken over by government agencies. But here that isn't true. Here the church needs to develop its service to the society. So we do many things that the government itself doesn't do. We have 3 services for the elderly, reaching out to abandoned elderly who can't leave their apartments, who are very poor, who can't buy their medicines, can't buy their foods. And so we reach out and take care of these people once or twice a week. We visit them in their apartments. We send a nurse or a doctor to take care of their needs.
And we are volunteers from the Catholic Church.
We take care of elderly ward at one of the local hospitals. A very poor hospital, and they simply don't have the resources to take care of these dying elderly people.
Примите тот хлеб.